Hey everybody, how we doing? My name is Rome Bailey. Welcome back to my roofing channel, and today I'm going to hit on a pretty popular topic, which is how old is my roof? So let's say you just bought your home, you need it inspected, or let's say you've been living in your house for a while and the last homeowner put the roof on, you're like, man, I just don't know how old it is. Or let's say maybe a storm just happened, people are knocking on your door and you're like, man, why is everybody knocking on my door? I don't think my roof is that old. I'm going to give you 7 ways to have a better idea of just how old your roof is. 1, if you ever have your gutters cleaned or if you clean your gutters yourself, take a look inside them when you do. If you have a substantial buildup of granules in your gutter, there's a good chance that it is an older roof, meaning over time, the granules are going to lose their adhesion, the sun's going to bake them off. This does take a good bit of time, but if you have a good bit, meaning you have more than like 1/8 to 1/4 inch of just buildup of granules in your gutters, there's a good chance you could be looking at a much older roof. Number 2, this is one that not a lot of people pay attention to, but there's a few metal surfaces on your average roof. Let's say you have a brick or stucco home where you have something called counter flashings on the outside. Once this fades, it's usually black or white by standard, but if you're just seeing a bare metal color or really, really faded paint color, this can also be a good sign that your roof is in that 10+ year range. Same thing if you can see any of the exhaust vents or components coming out of the top of the roof. These furnace vents or exhaust vents, a lot of the times they're painted whenever a roof is redone. So if it's bare metal or pretty close to it, that's another good indication, especially if it's rusting. Number 3 is going to be your black streaking. So this is caused by blue-green algae, which leaves marks on the roof. Usually starts on the north side of the roof where you get the least amount of sun. Most 3-tab and architectural style shingles, you're going to start seeing this in the 8 to 10 year range if it doesn't have any kind of algae fighting technology that's baked into the shingles like most of them are nowadays. So if you see it on your north slope, could be 8 to 10. If you see it all the way around your roof, that takes a lot of time. You could be looking at a 15 to 18+ year old roof. Number 4, something I've touched on before. This is a little bit harder to notice unless it's just something that you're familiar with looking at. So it's an asphalt fiberglass shingle, right? So once those granules are missing and the shingles left to bake out in the sun, they physically start breaking down. You're actually going to start to see that fiberglass. So if you ever look up your roof, it's starting to shine or the edges are starting to shimmer, that's a good indication that roof is getting in that probably 15+ year range. Most of the times I don't see roofs get in this extensive of a bad condition because it takes a very long time for them to get in this condition. 5 is going to be an excessive amount of granules at the bottom of your downspouts. Now I do want to clear something up. If you just had a new roof put on, pack extra granules on the shingles because when you're walking around on a roof installing it, you don't want it to be hurting the roof. So when they pack these extra granules on top of the shingles, just like my roof I had replaced last year, you're going to still see some granules coming out pretty much every time it rains for the next year or so. It just shouldn't be an excessive amount. If you see an excessive amount piled at the bottom of your downspout and you know you haven't gotten your roof replaced, or if you know that it's an older roof, that's a pretty good indication. Also, a little side note on that too, if it just hailed or anything like that, you're also going to see an extensive amount. But if none of those have occurred, if it's not a new roof, if you didn't just have a big storm event and you have a pile of granules at the bottom of your downspout, especially just after a normal rain, that's a good sign your roof is getting older and it probably needs to look into getting replaced. Number 6 is just going to be no prior paperwork. So for those of y'all who don't know, at least in Georgia, it's an unlicensed state. There's very, very few cities and counties that require you to pull a permit, meaning you actually have a stamped date of when that roof was installed. If you're a homeowner does their due diligence, or if the homeowner lived before you and your home did, sometimes I do see the occasional paperwork, but if there's no prior paperwork, I always make a joke. It's either a brand new roof, 10 years older, and needs to get replaced. So that can be a good sign if you don't see prior paperwork to definitely try and get somebody out there to take a look to identify how old your roof is. Now, number 7 is going to be a pipe boot. So this is something I don't see on every single pipe boot. There's a few manufacturers that still stamp and date theirs. This is really useful as far as a roofing contractor goes because what I can do is climb up on your roof. I can see when the pipe boot was actually manufactured. It's usually going to have a day, a month, and a year. And they're usually installed within a couple years of being manufactured. So I wouldn't say it's a direct pinpoint of when the roof was installed, but it's going to be a pretty good indicator to get you within a couple years. So there you have it. 7 tips as far as getting an idea of how old the roof is or having an idea of maybe you should get it looked into to find out a little bit more about it. Thanks for watching, guys.